kind of get the impression like the San Jose Sharks, they were just waiting for an opportunity for him to do something stupid so they could just terminate the contract and get out from underneath the money.
And he did it.
And he did. You know, the reports are he was positive and he flies to Vancouver. And, you know, it's just this he's done a lot of stupid things away from the rink. But I heard Ken Holland today, GM in Edmonton, saying he believes in second chances. There are a ton of reports out there that basically every team in the league is calling on him, and he's going to get another offer, which is to be expected. And it's easier to look towards that second chance when someone's very talented, a very good player, and someone's going to be cheap because he's likely going to be cheap. Now, I do wonder if there's a bidding offer or a bidding war here. You might have to give him 2 or 3 years. Like, it may not be 1 year at $750.
No, there's no way in hell, Hayes.
You think he's getting multiple years?
I wouldn't be shocked. If every team in the league is calling and you're the guys that really want him and you can get him for giving them 2 years, why would you not do that? It's a year and a half.
I'll bet you $15,000 that he doesn't get multiple years.
Johnny, you win.
You go ahead, Johnny.
Johnny, you win.
I wouldn't be shocked at all if you got 2 years. It's a year and a half, this year and next. I wouldn't be shocked.
No, Hayes, you're wrong. You're wrong here. You know why you're wrong?
Why?
Because Evander Kane is going to go to a good team to rehabilitate his image as a winner. Any good team doesn't have cap space. To sign him to a multi-year deal, it would cost multi-million dollars. He's not taking a 2-year deal for like $1.25 per year.
So that's a different angle, though. That's Kane's angle. That's Kane saying, I'm not taking the 2. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be offered. I'm saying it would be offered. I'm saying teams out there would offer 2.
The teams he's going to won't have the ability to make him the offer of term and dollars that he's going to want.
And other teams that are bad don't want to deal with him for more than 6 months.
Wow.
Exactly. They're not going to go on the limb and say, yeah, we're terrible. Let's go get him and give him a 4-year deal for $20 million because he can score some goals. It's not worth it to them. It's only worth it to good teams because they're willing to sell a little bit of their soul, perhaps, to have a chance to win a bit more. Like, I don't think so. I just think that the numbers don't make sense for the place he's going to go to try to show that he can be a contributing member of a good team.
Well, okay, so then let's say we all agree that he's going to get a 1-year deal for the rest of this season. I don't think it's $750,000. If you're in a bidding where they're going to try, like, is it north of $2 million? Or is it like where?
Well, then how many good teams can pay that? Then he might be taking himself out of it because that's the question. You got to get to the point where it's determined what he thinks he needs to get his career back on track.
He's going to have choices, right? He's going to have choices from multiple teams. That much is clear.
Right.
He's going to for the next. You just said it, Noodles. It's for like a 3-month term, so he's going to get 50% of a contract. So. Right. For $100,000, is it worth taking yourself out of a great situation and into a good situation? No, this is for him and his agent. This will only be about where can he go, play on a good team with good players, show that he can score goals, and be a good teammate if he can show that, and get a big payday this summer. I don't think. Yes, Noodles. I think you're right. He probably will be offered 1.25, 1.5 by some teams. But I think his decision would be based solely, not on the extra little bit of money that he can make this year, even though he needs it. Lord knows he needs it. But just about what's the best situation, which is going to be a good team with good players that need him on the ice.
I find it crazy, Johnny, that we're even talking about this guy signing up with another hockey team. Like
crazy.
All we talk about, and it's all over locker rooms in the NHL, where it's like, this is a privilege, not a right. And when you hear anyone from San Jose, his teammates just couldn't stand him, didn't want him around the locker room, and all of his off-ice issues, it's almost like playing in the NHL, that privilege element to it. It's like he's lost it for right now. And if I was him and if I was his agent, I would try to repair not his relationship with anybody else, but just repair himself and try to just get, I don't know what because if the guy's a total idiot and a goof and a jerk and no matter what happens, everyone's going to hate his guts, then that's one thing. But he's got to try to fix himself, his relationship with his kid, and I don't know. I find it bizarre. Just like Antonio Brown. The nonsense happened in Oakland. All of a sudden, nobody's like, this guy's got some issues going on here. They're like, who's going to have him? Tampa Bay's got to have him. It's it's a crazy cycle.
But, guys, it comes back to what, Hayes, you've been talking. If Evander Kane was a 4th liner or a 7th defenseman, what are you talking about?
He's done.
But this is a guy's 6'3". He's tough as hell. He could score 30 goals, or else this wouldn't even be a discussion.
And you know what? With Ken Holland saying, I believe in second chance. This is 7th or 8th chance, really.
No
to be
kidding,
honest.
Noodles.
But that being said, I talked to somebody today. It was like, if you are a team that you feel like, is chugging along, you better have a strong room. Because if you believe that, and this was his wording, not mine, but if you believe that he is cancerous, if you've got a healthy body as a team, why would you put a piece of cancer into that body that could potentially spread? You've got to have the right mentality, the right group in the room that goes, if this guy starts acting up, they're like, hey, this is how we do it here. There's certain, I think
that's the benefit of the 1-year deal, though, also from the team.
Correct.
Where you just say you're cut.
And San Jose's had one of the best locker rooms in the NHL for years with Pavelski and Couture and Marlowe and Jumbo. And he was acting like a donkey there. What the hell's a strong room going to do for this guy? Nothing. The worst part about it, guys, and we've all been around the game for a long time, even Hazy and Sarnia, the worst thing you could say, one thing that you hear not very often is bad guy. Usually, there's some, he drinks a little, whatever. But to hear the term "bad guy" in the hockey world, that's a scary comment.
So why is he's gonna get another job?
He is, because I just told you he's 6'3", he's tough,
exactly.
He can fight, and he can score 30 goals a year.
So it's all lip service and it's bogus.
Hayes, and I think this is, and maybe Noodles and O will disagree, but I think you talk about lip service, and I think there is an element of NHL players in locker rooms that, like, the sanctity of the locker room is maybe not so sanctimonious. Like, the idea that everyone's got to get along to win, that's not true, right? Like, right. I know there's Stanley Cup winning teams where guys don't get along. Everyone, when you win, is the best guy, and we love each other like brothers. And O's been in the finals, and maybe they felt that way. But I've been on teams, not to the finals, where not everyone gets along. And the idea that they have to is just not true. And the fact that the idea that players, the idea that this playing as a privilege will be so turned off by this guy and all that he's, the noise that has surrounded his career the last couple of years, that they won't. Like, you don't have to look far for different people who have done different things that have kind of just been ushered back into locker rooms and like if nothing's ever happened. So I think that idea that we want to think that real problem, whether by an organization, by a fan base, by a locker room, saying, you know what, this is not the kind of person that we want to have in here. History has shown us, if they're good, there's very little fallout. Like, there'll be if it's Toronto, there'll be a big story. But if he goes and plays in Florida, there'll be a couple articles about it. And, I don't expect a big fallout. I don't expect a big fallout in the dressing room either. I think most guys are like, whatever, if I don't like him, I just, we won't hang out. But as long as he scores, then whatever. Because that's been, I'm not saying that's right, but that's been the history of the way sports go.
Yeah. I mean, there was initially a backlash when Tony DeAngelo signed in Carolina. There's like 3 beat writers that wrote about it for 90 minutes. And then, it trended on Twitter for a day? And DeAngelo's been a pretty good player for them. I don't know him as a human, but he's been a really good player, and he makes $1 million.
Or that this guy, there's 2 sides to every story, and he's been a fantastic ad. So,
well, and I think it'll be interesting to see who he ends up signing with, and if you could make something of the market that he chooses in the end. If there's truth in this, that the high-end teams are kicking tires on him. Because if he comes to Toronto, then
you don't want to come to Toronto.
It's a gong show. Yeah,
you don't want to come to Toronto.
No, but
yeah.
Even if it's a great situation, and it would be.
Mike,
obviously.
you could probably loop in any Canadian market, to be honest with you.
Yep, that's right. You don't want Vancouver. Yeah. You don't want Edmonton. Like as attractive as going to play with whatever Hyman and McDavid might be. Like, to think about the noise, the unrelenting noise, and when you're away from the rink and all of it, you go play, no disrespect to Carolina or to Florida or to Nashville, and there'll be a couple of stories, but then the world's going to go along and off you go. So, that would definitely factor into it, because in his situation, you'd need to be aware, because it could get sticky in a Canadian market or a big market, the Rangers or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of the big markets are in play right now, you would assume. Anyway. And I could see the Boston Bruins possibly kicking tires with where they're at and what they might be looking for.